Side quest, showing them the ropes. Patrick stopped them at the first real junction they found, where the mountain itself flattened out a little. A tattered brown banner proudly proclaimed Hyde Bellicose Arena. A smaller wooden sign hung from a hook nearby and just read, "No matches today." "Why do we stop here?" Nightingale asked, glancing past the banner. There was a turnstile and a little stone hut beside it, and two more on the other side marked wagers and ticketing. "This doesn't look like somewhere our mysterious mage would be hiding," she frowned. "Shouldn't she be somewhere mystical or whatever?" "It's too bad there isn't a match," Remy sounded wistful. "Hyde's team is the Fighting Miners." Rook stopped just beside Remy and squinted at the sign in the wagers window. "They took the regional title last year." "Yeah, I remember that," Remy beamed. "That whole thing with the arm club? Pretty clever. I guess it's a good thing Garza had so many extra arms to begin with." Nightingale looked to Zeke for an answer, but he didn't seem to have one. "I always wanted to play at the Institute, but my dad," Nightingale shrugged, "he's just so protective. He was always afraid I'd get hurt or draw attention because I'm royalty." "Well, it can be super dangerous," Patrick cleared his throat. "After all, it's just like fencing with more contact." "Safer now, though. Dismemberment was banned in pro-level engagements after the Blood Lake incident of 960. Sanja should have taken the penalty." Remy pitched in excitedly. "The Rum Runners had that brawl." "How does this help us?" Nightingale asked, loudly enough that a few stragglers and a little crowd emerging from the turnstile stared at her. Patrick stepped a little closer to her, and the instant he did, Remy and Rook resumed their discussion. "Knight, it won't matter if we find that mage today if you get killed by a cave sickle tomorrow. After what happened to Aisling?" He shook his head, expression solemn. "Look, Shayless will be counting on me to keep you safe. The best way I know to be safe is to be prepared." Nightingale took a deep breath, trying to release some of her anxiety. "Okay," she said. "So why the arena? I don't think the sports trivia will help." Patrick started walking towards the entrance. She followed, with Zeke listening from close behind. "Hey," Patrick called back to Rook and Remy. "Come on. I'll spot you all for a brawl." That got their attention, and they hurried to catch up. "We're going to brawl?" Nightingale sounded doubtful. "I mean, I get that the bellicose cubes keep you from getting too wounded so long as you're close and you attune your blood or whatever. But do we really have to fight each other? I'd rather not have to hurt my friends." "I wouldn't worry about that," Remy stated. "I could take you on. No problem." Nightingale scoffed. "No problem? I doubt that." "It'll be fine," Rook interjected. "It's like the Roman Colosseum if the losing gladiators weren't dead at the end of every fight. It's great practice for real confrontation with other people." Patrick exchanged some gold with a woman hunched in the admissions booth. They made their way into an arena cut right into the side of the mountain. There were lines marked in colored gravel, all crossing in different ways. But Nightingale only knew the red one, the outermost boundary of the cube, beyond which its magic would not protect. The cube itself stood in the very center, humming with magic and protected with a sturdy iron cage. There was only one entrance, which presently hung open. A little crowd appeared to be moving away from the cube, carrying weapons and bloody uniforms back with them towards a set of distant locker rooms. Patrick ignored them and walked straight towards the cube in the center. He spoke a little louder now. "Rook's right. When we fought Aisling," he said, "I noticed something. You all don't have a lot of practice fighting intelligent opponents. Makes sense since the Institute is supposed to help you survive against monsters, not make you soldiers. But monsters can be smart too." He stopped beside the cube where a shallow basin of silver held a single sharp blade, glittering in the afternoon sun. "So how about we get some practice?" "You want us to fight each other?" Remy's excitement about the arena boiled, and she clasped her hands. "Hear that, Knight? We can see who would win. I hope your Highness is prepared for an ass-kicking." "That's the spirit." Patrick gestured at the cube. "Standard 2-on-2 brawl. First to surrender. How about—" He scratched his beard for a moment, then pointed. "Remy and Rook versus the Royals. That sounds fair." "Not really," Nightingale glared at him. They know the sport and we don't. Good. Patrick gestured again at the single opening to the cube. That can be another lesson. Fighting is always unfair. Win anyway.